Welcome to Design with Miyoshi. I'm going to show you a little bit of SolidWorks today. Mainly, this is for my students. But first, I want to thank Northwest Technical Products for sponsoring this video. If you are part of an educational institution in Washington, Alaska, Oregon, Idaho, or Montana, contact Northwest Technical Products for all your SolidWorks and other technical needs. Thanks, Andrew, and all the crew at Northwest Technical Products. Okay, so we're going to start this part. SolidWorks, we've already started this guy up, so hopefully you have the units set up properly in inch, pound, seconds, and ANSI. If not, you should go back and watch the video to do that. This is our first part, so we're going to make a part. And you should see on your screen here a drawing of what we're going to make. And what we're going to do, the nice thing about SolidWorks is you always start with the same process you would in real life, and that is you make a sketch first, because you may not always have your computer with you, so you're going to make a sketch, and then we're going to make that sketch parameterized. So we're going to parameterize it. In other words, we're going to give it some units. Parameterize is probably one of those units, or one of those words I made up, but we're going to make some parameters to our model, and then we're going to, or our drawing, our sketch, and then we're going to make it 3D. Okay, so first thing we want to do, we want to make sure we start out in the front view, and the front view is going to be the one that's got the most detail, the most important, or is really considered the front. So as I make my new guy here, I want to go to sketch, and I want to make a sketch. So you have to hit the sketch tab and then the sketch icon here, and we want to make our first sketch in the front plane. Now, this guy here, we are going to make a rectangle. I'm going to make a rectangle with these lines, and I'm just going to make it kind of willy-nilly because I want to show you these things that are kind of nice. I won't even make this guy connected. Then I'm going to right-click and end, or select or end the chain. And then I'm going to go ahead and do some fun stuff, and that is this thing called relations. So relations are really important. You can add relations to any thing or things. In this case, I'm going to add a relation to the endpoints here and merge them. That makes them into one point. I'm going to add a relation to this guy, and I don't have to go out or add relations. A lot of people want to hit this checkbox and go out of that. But as long as I select something new, I don't have to do that. As this will say, tell me what's in the selection. And I just want to make this guy vertical, and I want to make this guy horizontal. And I want to make this guy vertical and this guy horizontal. Now you could do the same thing with this rectangle icon, but I like to do it to show you a few more things this way. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab this, or I'll hit the checkbox, and I'm going to grab this guy and move it up. And you can do that with any point or line or piece of geometry. You can just kind of move it out of there. I want to get this origin, that's this little red axes there. I want to put that inside my box, and I like to do this because a lot of times we did this in the older versions. I would make a center line, and this is just going to snap. Notice there's that little circle inside a circle. That's a snap to a point, and then I'll go from that end point or that corner to that corner, and then I'll just add a relation. Notice I can get out of this line. I can either click on this check, or in this case, since I know I'm going to just add a relation, I'll go to add relations. It gets out of the line command and gets to the relation. And I'm going to add a relation between the line, which is already selected. It's the last thing I did, so I'll just do that. And I'll grab the origin here. Now, if you can't seem to grab the origin, you can always come over here, and you can actually grab the origin this way. Okay? So I have the origin. The line and the origin are selected, and I'm just going to make them midpoint. So that makes the midpoint, that makes the point to be the midpoint of that line. And that means that the origin is now at the center of this object. So now we're going to add some parameters, and that just means we're going to put some dimensions. And if we were in my classroom, I would ask my students, what's the dimension of this guy? What's its length? Well, the length of this guy is actually 3.5. The nice thing about SolidWorks is you can put in dimensions as either decimal or as fractions. So I'm going to put the height in here as a fraction instead. So now Notice that the lines went from blue to black, and that's because now they are fully defined. Okay, so black is beautiful in this case, and we know that they have all the parameters set, and that is wonderful. So now we know that these lines have to be 3.5 inches wide, and they are 1 3/4 away from the origin. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and grab this edge and dimension it. I'm still in the dimension command. Notice that I try to put the dimension somewhere in the middle. And this time, instead of putting in the height, which is 1 3/4, by as 1.3 or 1.75, I'm going to do 1 space 3/4. So 1 3/4. I can either, like I said, do the put the 3/4 depending on what your drawing has. My drawing happens to be in fractions, so I'll do 1 3/4. I can either hit the checkbox or hit the enter key, and that makes this fully defined. Notice all the lines now are black, and that means it's fully defined. Everything's all ready to go. And so we can get out of the sketch. Actually, we don't have to exit the sketch, but now our sketch is fully defined. What we're going to do now is make it 3D by going to Features, Extrude Boss Base. And notice it shows us a 3D view. And right here, there's different kinds of directions you can use. We will probably mostly use blind and midplane. Midplane just means that it goes equal distances both out and in, but this distance here is the total distance. We are right now going to do blind, which is that just means it's going to come one direction. It doesn't care if there's other surfaces there or not. It's just going to come this way. And I believe this one is 0.75 or 3/4 thick. So I'll hit enter. Notice it doesn't exit me out of this guy. I can go ahead and change that guy. I can grab this arrow and move in and out. I go backwards. I can go whatever way I want to, but I like to put in the units by hand here. I don't like to go that way though. Let's change the direction. We'll change the direction by going that with this little box. I can go in and out depending on which way I want to go. And there we have it. If I wanted to go another direction, I could click on this guy, and that would then add to this guy, but I don't want to do that. I'll just extrude this guy 3/4, hit the OK, and guess what? Our first SOLIDWORKS model is done. I will just save this guy up, and it happens to be a specific drawing for me. I'll probably make a folder here. And we'll just call this guy 5-37 because that's the figure number in my book. So I'll just save that guy, and there we have it. So that is our first model in SOLIDWORKS. They called it a sanding block, and there we have it. All I have to do now is I can do File, and I can close this guy, and I'm ready to go for the next one. All right, so thanks for tuning in. There's our first model in SOLIDWORKS. Remember, make a sketch, parameterize the sketch, make it 3D, and make sure you save it. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.